Alright, so welcome back to Jim Bob's Garden. Behind me you see my compost pile. I had a question from one of my neighbors actually that was asking me, how do I go about building up my dirt? Well, I'm cheap, so I don't spend a lot of money. What I do is I use compost. So I'm going to show you what I use to build my compost and how I go about doing it. Alright, first off, some lawn clippings. So now, one of the things I do is I actually mow my neighbor's yard. Because I'm a nice guy, partially. But in reality, I do it also because I want the clippings. Because I got a lot of garden and I need a lot of compost. Now, grass tends to break down pretty quick if the conditions are right. So what I do, this is completely empty right now, by the way. I'm going to take this and I'm going to spread this out. And then I'm going to take some cardboard that I have. This is just like my wife gets stuff in the mail from various sources. And I'll take the cardboard and I'll throw it in there. Alright. And basically what I'm doing is I'm trying to build up some layers. This is a paper bag. That'll work just fine. I'll throw something on it to keep it there. So cardboard is a wood product and wood breaks down. Now, you can use whatever kind of cardboard you want. It's better if it's just a plain cardboard apparently. But you know what? I'm going to take some of this other cardboard. Forgot I had a box back here. And I'm going to break that down and I'm going to throw that in there too. The shiny parts of the cardboard break down a little slower. And might put some ants everywhere. They'll help me break it down. Whoa, look at all them ants. Well, that ought to piss them off. Alright, so I'm going to leave that there, and I'm going to get out of here before I get eaten up. So once I get the cardboard down, oh, and by the way, pizza boxes are excellent. Alright, a little bit of food in there, that'll get it to start to rotten. Then what I do is I'll take and I'll hose it down a little bit. Now you don't want to overdo the water, because if you put too much water, what'll end up happening is that you'll create slime, basically. And you want to have enough water for things to get a little bit wet so that the bacteria will start to grow, but at the same time not so much water that it'll be what they call, I believe it's anaerobic. But basically it'll be, the best way I can describe it is stinky slime. Alright, so we give it a little bit of water, and then what I do as well as the cardboard is I have a separate little hanger where I put a plastic bag and I collect all my paper towels. It makes me feel good about using paper towels. But I'll toss all my paper towels in there, kind of spread them out. Paper towels, napkins, so on. And then wet them down so they don't go flying away. Now all of this is paper products, which is essentially wood. And that gives you kind of your brown layer. You want to do layers. You do a green layer, which is grass clippings, even though right now most of my grass clippings are brown because it's still early spring. I haven't really got a lot of grass. And then coffee grounds go on there. Kitchen scraps with eggshells, just anything that goes in the kitchen. I mean, sunflower seed holes, anything that is biodegradable. Basically, I put that in there. All right. And then what I do is put a little more grass on it. Once again, this isn't the best grass right now, just because it's primarily dead grass or dry grass. There's a little green in there. And then we kind of spread that out a little bit, cover everything up. Give another light soaking just to get this layer a little bit damp. Now, is there weed seed in there? You better believe it. Lots of weed seed and all kind of stuff. But the temperatures in here hopefully will break down the weed seed, and if not, I'll pull a few weeds. It is what it is. Alright. Now then what I do is I try and get a little bit of working compost from my other pile. Alright. Throw it in there, because it's got that bacteria that'll hopefully give it a good start. And we want this bacteria to start eating away at the stuff we put in there. So, alright, and we'll put the other bag, grass. Oh man, this is heavy. It's got a lot of dirt in it, because like I said, it's very dry out right now. Lots of leaves and such. Woo. Spread that around. Just kind of level it off a little bit. And then add a little bit more water. Now, we haven't had rain in about a week. So it's good to add a little bit of water to your compost here and there. But like I said, you don't want to get it too wet. But if you don't have any moisture at all, what can end up happening is that basically it'll get too dry and you won't get any action going on. And you got to get that bacterial action going to where the bacteria have enough oxygen as well as enough moisture to survive and continue breaking down all of the particles into usable dirt, compost essentially. But that's how I make my compost. Now, you know, a lot of people will tell you, don't put this in your compost, don't put that in your compost, this is bad, that's bad. I don't know. I read a book by David the Good talking about compost everything. Worst comes to worst, it'll break down and it won't go into a landfill. All right, which is good by me. That means that pretty much most of my trash stays here in my yard. All of my grass clippings, including my neighbor's grass clippings, stay here in my yard, so that I'm not putting them out into a landfill somewhere and filling that up, even though I guess it would break down there as well. But here I get the benefit of it. So I will continue as I mow the yard to pile these up, keep on stacking up any kind of yard waste, any kind of garden waste, any kind of household compostable waste. Obviously you don't want to put plastics in, you don't want to put chemicals in. So like if I'm using chemicals and using paper towels, those I will throw away. But like if I'm picking up, anything that's not, like my cats have a problem with puking, so we pick up a cat puke with the paper towel before we use chemicals to clean. I'll take that paper towel and throw it in with the rest of the paper towel, so we get a little cat food in there. It's all good. It's going to heat up. Should get, once it warms up out here and we get a little more rain, should get up to around 160, 165 degrees in the inside of the pile, which will burn away most any kind of bacteria that is bad for you, hopefully. And then it's going to be spread in the soil, and then it's going to be filtered by the roots. When the roots pick up these nutrients, they're going to filter it out, so it should keep most diseases out. I don't know, I haven't dyed yet. Seems like it works pretty good, and it's the only way I have to improve my dirt without using store-bought additives. I really don't want to spend a lot of money. I've been watching a lot of videos about people making their dirt for their raised beds, and I mean, this one guy spent, it had to have been $200 on this dirt and this additive and that additive, and a little bit of peat moss and some or some coconut coir, which is great. That's fine. But it seems to me like by the time you spend all that money, hell, you could have bought vegetables. So, that's just my opinion. Me, I'm trying to burn up my waste. I'm trying to do it somewhat naturally, as best I can, best I know how. Like I'm going to take a lot of these grass clippings once the yard really starts to grow, and they're going to go covering up and creating all my mulch. And yeah, I get some weeds, but I'll pull the weeds. No big deal. And you know what? Weeds break down into mulch too. So, is there a better way? I don't know. I'm liking this way. It seems to work for me. I like what David DeGood said. Basically, if it'll break down, break it down. Use it in your yard and don't throw it away. Don't use it as, or don't create a problem for, commercial waste products. Or waste disposal is what I meant to say. One last thing. I have a pile. Let me show you over here. You can see right there, there's a pile of soon-to-be wood chips. Basically cuttings that I took from the trees in the yard. I have my own wood chipper, so I'll chip all that down, turn that into wood chips. They're really fine wood chips, the ones that I use. They turn into very small wood chips because the shavings are much smaller. So what I'll do is I'll use those in here as well this year. I didn't use them a lot last year because I was putting them on the garden beds, but now that I know how to get free wood chips, I don't have to deal with that. So I'm going to use a lot of those, I think, in my compost and try and compost them down. Because again, that layer between the green and the brown, or the wood and then grass clippings, or garden wastes, helps it to start working, to start that bacteria growth and start to breaking down and heating up for me. So that's how I make my compost, and right now the only thing I'm adding into my dirt, other than I'm getting some composted cow manure from the store here and there, but other than that, that's all I'm adding into my dirt. And do it the way you feel is right for you. This is just the way I'm doing it, and we'll see how it all turns out. So far, it appears as though my dirt has gotten a lot richer, a lot darker, and it's looking a lot better, and things are growing better now. So far this year. We'll see how it goes, as the year progresses. So that's what I got, and that's how I make my compost, and the compost is what I use to make my dirt. Thanks once again for stopping by. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Grow something. If you got a little bit of space, make yourself a compost bin. You can make it out of pallets. Like I've got a video coming here in a little bit, as soon as my daughter gets done editing, about where we made one in my daughter's yard. You just take 3 pallets, tie them together, one way or another, nail them together as the case may be, and make a U and throw all your compost in it. But you can even just throw it on a pile, or you can get some wire and put it in the middle of your garden, and then that'll automatically compost your garden. A million different ways online about how to go about composting. I'm even going to try something again in the next video about composting in place, where I'm going to use my pots, where I'm going to grow basically a container garden, and I'm going to use a little bit of compost in that to create my containers. Alright, so once again, thanks for stopping by. Let me know what you think, and grow something.